Hey, I've got my 2015 Lexus IS350 FSport. Has about 70,000 miles on it, a little shy of that, and finally getting around to doing the spark plugs. And while I was at it, I did a drain and fill on the transmission. Got about 3/4-ish out of there. Supposedly it's a sealed for life transmission, but my kid's Jaguar has one of those and its transmission just failed, so I don't buy into that. And even though it's probably early, figured it, costs all of $35, and did a drain and fill on the transmission. To get to the spark plugs, you're just underneath this cover here. It's got 3 little grommets. It just pops off. And on the passenger side here, you're underneath the air intake tube. You got number 1 coil pack hiding under there. Number 2 is right under the middle, or I guess that's 3, and then 5 under there. But to remove that air intake tube's pretty simple. I just have to loosen that bolt up on each end. It comes right off. Do have to take this hose off here, and there's another hose right here. Just disconnect that clip, and that intake tube comes off, and you can access them all pretty easily. And then I did end up having to move this harness out of the way here, so there's a couple little nuts, and you can pull that wiring harness just a little bit out of the way. On the driver's side, it's a little tighter. I really didn't want to take off this air intake, so I was able to move this harness around. There's a nut there, and then down there, and you can get this wiring harness out of the way. There's a couple of clips here, and back there. And it's still pretty tight, but you can get to all 3 coil packs without taking that air intake off. This number 2 guy, that one is kind of a bugger. The bolt that secures that coil, have to use an open end wrench and get it underneath the air intake. But I was able to loosen it with the wrench and then take it out by hand and get the coil out. And then 4 and 6 were a little easier. They weren't too bad. So all in all, it wasn't too bad. And then did the drain and fill on the transmission. The new stuff obviously is pink and red, and that's what 70,000 miles looks like. It was not black, but it's pretty brown as it was coming out. So I was glad I did it. I'll probably do it again, another 60,000 or so, just to do something. My Honda does it every 30,000 after 90, so we'll see. Getting to it's not too bad. Fill plug is right there on the driver's side. I didn't have the right metric socket, so but a 15/16 fits just right. And then you got a drain right there, and drain was a 14 millimeter. And then you have the check right in the middle of the drain pan. Do you heat everything up, drive it around, go around, grab some groceries, and come back and pull that check, and a little bit of excess comes out, and then you know you're about the right level. And it's a 5 millimeter hex drive Allen wrench. Anyway, so wasn't too big a deal. don't have a dipstick like on your old cars, but worked out pretty easy. Use this Amazon transfer pump. Pump the ATF in with my kid helping me, and so it was pretty easy. On the spark plugs, the originals that came out were a Denso FK20 HBR11, and I ended up going back in with also Densos, but they're the TTs. Both of them are Iridiums, but went back in with the TTs, and they probably look fine. They could probably keep going, but the manual says to change them. They're due anyway. All right, that's it. Not too big a deal.